So here we are with 2/3 times 4, 2/3 times 4. And so when we look at this, we want to make sure that we know something about the fraction. 2/3 of 1 is 2/3. Estimate that this is going to be more than a whole when I do the calculation. The unit fraction is a third, and 3/3 is a whole. And so here's my justification. I'm going to focus on the whole first. What do I know? How does this affect my whole? Well, if I'm looking at 2/3 of 1, this is what I get, is 2/3. 2/3 of 2 is 2/3 more. 2/3 of 3 is 2/3 more. And so far, this is nothing that kids have not done before, because it becomes a problem where they have to compose these proper fractions to get this value, this improper fraction. So far, there's nothing the kids don't know yet. So it's the connections that we have to make for them. Composing. And then looking at division, 1/3 divided by 2. Oh my goodness, how does this affect one part of the whole? And how does this affect one whole? These are questions the kids should be asking themselves to be able to solve these problems fluently. Okay, so if I have one whole, I know that I'm going to take 1/3 of that whole and I'm going to divide it into 2 equal parts. So this is what happens. A lot of our kids do this, and then they still think that 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, they think that this is 1/4. But what happens is they aren't focusing on the size of the parts, which is why I like to focus using Cuisenaire rods, because they have to focus on the size. That's an issue for them. Then they'll know that this problem, they have to change every part in the whole to figure out what this one individual one is. They have to be the same size. And asking kids a question, so why do I need to divide those other two or partition those other two in 2 parts? Why do I need to do that? Because that's something that they're missing. So I have now one group is 1/6, and the second group I get 1/6. So 1/6 is my answer to this question. And doing this in context with the word problem is so much more powerful for students. Then we have 2/3 divided by 2 is a third. Okay, so let's see. So 2/3, we have 2 groups. So each group gets a third. That's one way to do it. We can also do this with getting a common denominator, where we can make this whole into sixths, and then each group gets 2/6 or 1/3 in each group. So it's about the flexibility in thinking and how you expect your kiddos to do these problems and the exploration that you give to them at time. Okay, here's a misconception right here. Find the product, 3/4 times 12. And of course, what we do? We multiply 3 times 12, because we place a 12 over 1. 3 times 12, 4 times 1, and we get 36/4. And then we do the same thing, we divide, without understanding what this actually means. So there are a couple ways that the kiddos could do these questions too, these problems too. So here's one way, where now we're focusing on what they already know, which is composing and decomposing from 3rd and 4th grade. This is actually a 5th grade problem right here, 5th grade and to beyond problem right here in the state of Texas. So we have 3/4 that we're composing these, and it becomes 36/4, 36/4, 36/1/4. And we want to make sure that we're not focusing on these as individual whole numbers. What does this mean? This means 3/4 of 12. So this is a different way that we can look at it. We want the kids to be able to say that if 3/4 of 1 is 3/4, then I know that 3/4 of 2 is 6/4. So they will look at here, 6/4. 3/4 of 3 is 9/4. 3/4 of 4, 12/4. And that pattern goes on and on. Different ways to do it if kids have foundational understandings. And they should get 9 in each situation. Here's another way to do it, because what we want our kids to do is also have that time to use the models that they have. So with the models, I'm going to start here, and we want them to shade to show that this is 9. Okay, so look, we're going to take this right here, and we're going to move it over here to make that a whole. Okay, so we're going to do this as many times as we can. And when I work with kids, I like them to start either on the side here and moving and shading, or at the bottom, so that they are able to work in a more efficient way and not make as many mistakes. Okay, so here's again. And so right now we have 3. So we're going to do it again. 6. So now we're going to take those individual ones, and we're shading them again, filling in to make a whole. And so we end up with 1 whole for each of these, and that gives us 9. So paired with the models, the different ways of thinking about it, the kids should be able to, and they will be able to apply that learning. This is another one where they have a set model. Okay, and I love a strip diagram, and I love fraction models because I feel like all of them stay the same thing, and it's the same level of thinking. Right, so if I have 12, and I know that I'm taking fourths, so I know I'm going to separate those into 4 equal parts. So this can be done with counters for your students, just helping them to understand what that means. And this is actually how it's related, because everything is division here. But the language that we use is so important there for helping the kids. So 1/4 is 3. 2/4 is 6. 3/4 is 9. And 4/4 is 12. And the whole is still 1. And so that's what our kids have to know, have to be able to do. And we want them focusing on those individual parts, composing, decomposing unit fractions, instead of looking at that whole number aspect. So important.